There were a
But
few
Dad-
times that Dad turned a few people pale.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Dad
remember.
He had a Thunderbird
Mhm.
one time. A buddy he had sitting next to him had a 55 Corvette, and Dad had the Thunderbird. And the guy was giving him a bad time. Oh, this thing can't get up and move.
Mhm.
He said it the wrong time, and Dad just put
One
his
too
toe
many times,
in
yeah.
the carburetor, and it was a nice long straight stretch.
Mhm.
He
Mhm.
buried that needle.
Mhm.
Yeah,
The guy sitting next to him was white as a ghost.
109 miles an hour
Oh wow.
coming into the city limits of Springfield. Back when there was nothing out between Thurston and Springfield.
Mhm.
109 coming towards Springfield. And the guy next to me goes, "Okay, I give, Uncle." Before Dad started slowing down.
Uh-huh. So there was no one else in the car with Dad?
No one besides the guy
In the Corvette next to him? Yeah.
No. The guy that owned the Corvette was sitting next to him in the passenger seat, giving him a bad time that his
okay.
Corvette could leave that
Okay.
Thunderbird
In the dust.
in the
Okay.
dust.
Mhm.
He didn't know he was
Dad
talking to a
proved that.
wild man.
Yeah.
And there was somebody that knew how to drive.
Right. That too.
Because that straight stretch coming out of Willamina.
Yeah, it was out of Willamina.
Coming out of over Butler Hill,
Mm-hmm.
and that long straight stretch before you make that turn to go towards
That
Salem.
was his drag strip.
That was the drag strip
That
back
long,
in the day.
long strip of road there. Yeah.
That was their
Wow.
drag strip,
Mm-hmm.
and Dad would put many a car to shame out there with his old 41 Ford.
Yeah, in the same area where Aunt Betty, there at Perrydale Road.
Yes, where
That-
she clobbered that car.
Yeah, Grandpa's car just after
Brand
getting
new
her
Grandpa.
driver's license, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
coming back in the fog.
Yeah.
And didn't see the stop sign. Smashed into a car, T-boned it.
Mm.
And Grandpa's brand new, Grandpa Kuiper's brand new car.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just all upset.
Well,
And she's the youngest.
She's the
Child,
baby in
too.
the family, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was my mom, Rosie,
Mm-hmm.
Annie Eva, and then Aunt Betty, but then there was also Uncle Orville, but
yeah.
he had passed away
Yeah.
Oh yeah, earlier.
earlier.
I got one for you too to remember. Well, that green and white van that Grandpa used to drive, and his deer hunting trip.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they took that deer out with the front end of that van, and it decided to take out his radiator at the same time, and the
Yeah.
deer got up and walked away.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I would imagine Grandpa couldn't drive away.
No,
No,
because all of his antifreeze was right there on the road.
Right.
it was a big old buck. When the buck saw the vehicle coming, he just turned his head into the vehicle, and the antlers just went right into the grill and into the radiator.
I'm bigger than you.
And what was funny is not 50 yards down the road, another car had hit a deer
Oh wow.
coming this way. So now the road is totally blocked.
By two different
vehicles.
vehicles. Yeah. Being hit by deer.
And when we pulled up to visit Grandpa and Grandma, here's Grandpa tearing apart the front end of the van, take the radiator out.
To fix it. Yeah.
Pulling out deer fur.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But for that deer to just walk away.
Well, it probably didn't go very far.
Ah. Okay.
The neck probably was broken.
Yeah.
And then
yeah,
the other
into
one
the
was the
radio.
69 Dodge van that he had that they rolled over
Yeah,
on its side because Grandpa had a notorious habit of driving well beyond his means and falling asleep behind the wheel. And
Well,
one time,
That
he
one
got,
was
when he got one wheel off the road, overcorrected, went clear across
That
the
was-
road.
by the Wallace Bridge.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And then
Okay.
they come back the other way and it rolled over on its side, and in the back was all of Aunt Eva's dishes.
I think that's the reason why it rolled over. It was overloaded, top heavy.
Well, if you watch some of the videos on YouTube, you'll see that vehicles that do that, the momentum of going
One
overcorrecting
direction, yeah.
will flip them over on their side.
Yeah.
And all
The
those
dishes
dishes,
didn't help any. Yeah.
there wasn't. I think they salvaged maybe 2 or 3 pieces out of all those.
Well,
That
nice-
survived.
nice
there was furniture in the back end as well.
So it was loaded.
Boom.
Yeah.
The tow truck got it tipped back over on its wheels. Grandpa drove it home. No windshield.
Yeah, because
The
that.
windows were gone. Grandma had to be taken to the hospital because her neck needed to be put in a brace because she had whiplash.
Okay.
She'd gotten tangled up in the steering wheel.
So grandma was in
Yeah.
the van too then?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Grandma Kuiper.
That's stories we can tell right there for hours.
Oh, jeez.
Their trips to New Mexico and Canada, and
Or-
Mexico actually.
Or her stepping out the back door hollering at Grandpa, Orville, get in here or I'm throwing it out to the house.
Oh, it was time to eat?
It was time to eat.
Mm-hmm,
And he was out in the garage,
mm-hmm.
drilling or cutting on
Yeah,
something.
tinkering on something.
Ah, what'd you say?
Yeah.
Always working on something. He was quite the handyman. I mean, he wouldn't if he saw something and he could look at it long enough, he could go out and build it.
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
You know,
Build another one like it kind
Yeah,
of thing?
yeah.
Uh-huh.
instead of go buy it,
Mhm.
He built it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like the doorknob on the outhouse. He made his own.
What did it look like?
It was a broom handle and nails.
Oh, wow.
And the latch part was a 2x4 and a piece of plywood. The nail would go down between the two and that'd hold the door closed.
Oh, okay. Oh, if it works,
and they
right?
had the nail on the inside just to
Mm-hmm.
open and close it.
Well, there you go.
He was clever. I mean,
Yeah.
he'd take an electric motor out of something, you know, and he'd make his own fan.
Okay.
Or he would hook it up to his saw table
Mm-hmm.
and have
Oh,
that
that's
big
right. Mm-hmm. I
homemade
remember
saw
that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
or drill. You know,
And didn't he make the
He
I'm
had a
sure.
grinder that way too.
and the,
air compressor?
that air compressor that he built.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I got it. It's
Yeah.
still
Ah, it
I
still
got-
works.
it still
Yeah.
works. I got the tank patched where it had a hole
Hmm.
that the air would leak out.
Grandpa made that. Yeah.
And Grandpa made that. And
I remember the toaster he tried to fix though. Skeets!
our
Oh, wait.
toaster,
The springs were a little tight.
yeah, the one he fixed for Dad, yeah.
Yeah.
We the first time it was hilarious.
I can imagine.
Plugged it in, yeah, it worked, you know.
Mhm.
So Grandpa
Right.
thought, okay, cool, it's working.
So put the
So
toast.
next morning, Dad puts his 2 slices of toast or bread in there, pushes the button on the toaster. It literally launched the toast right out
to
of
the
the
ceiling.
And Dad's sitting there and we're looking at each other like, well, that's not supposed to happen.
Right. Did that actually happen that way? Yeah. Right. Or like you said, that's not supposed to happen that
Right.
way.
Or at times it would lock down and we'd have smoke bellowing out of the
Because
toaster.
it wouldn't actually pop then.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because it was too tight.
Yeah.
And then the toast would sit in there and barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
So as Dad would say, okay, potluck, what are we getting today out of the toaster?
Right. Are we gonna lose the toast on the ceiling or?
It was always, be prepared to catch it.
And-
So, you know, I always sat
Pardon me.
on this side by the toaster. Dad was sitting at the end of the table. So we would both have our plates right there. So as soon as it would pop, we'd try and
Uh-huh.
catch it.
Right. It was kind of a game in the process,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Dad was glad to get rid of that toaster.
Yeah, when he could afford a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And we got that 4-slice toaster.
Oh, that was a good one.
That was
Mhm.
a nice one.
Oh, funny.
What about the camping trip where the chipmunk ate its way through the loaf of bread?
Yeah, all the way through the center of the loaf of bread. You know, we knew better than to leave all our
Mhm.
camp food out on the
Right,
picnic
because the
table.
critters, some kind of critters are gonna come and get them.
We put all that and the cooler in the tent, zipped the tent up, but we had left the loaf of bread sitting on top of the cooler. This little chipmunk had pushed enough of the zipper open that he was able to get into the tent, found the loaf of bread, ate his way through exactly through the center of the bread, and came back out and left nothing but crumbs on his way out.
Mm-hmm.
Dad found that and was like, "You little son of a gun."
So in other words, he because of the crumb trail.
Yeah.
Dad figured out what it. Yeah. Otherwise, it still looked like a loaf of bread sitting on the top of the cooler, right?
With
With a hole in it.
With a
Yeah.
hole in the bag.
Yeah.
You pick up the hole, you pick up the bag, and the back end of it has got a hole in it.
Uh-huh.
You turn it, and there's a burrow hole all the way through the middle of it.
That one went into the fire.
Yeah.
I'm sure the chipmunk enjoyed it.
Probably quite full.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Round belly in the process.
Uh,
Yeah.
Wow, cute.
Then their dad and us would go target practicing.
Oh yeah.
And that was always a lot of fun. Dad was very good about, well, let's go back up a little bit. Growing up, Dad had, it was back when didn't have to worry about a lot of things.
Right.
Dad had his rifles all mounted on the wall.
Right.
The
And we
12
learned not to go in that room and
We-
mess with them.
we knew,
Right.
if there
Yeah,
was
we
a
learned
12
gun
gauge
safety,
shotgun and a 30-30 and then his .6.
Right, because we grew up in a patriotic family. If we broke the rules, we learned real quick. Dad laid the stripes and we seen the stars.
Mm-hmm. Right. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be quite patriotic.
We knew
The stars and stripes.
We knew as kids, that we never mess with them.
Right,
Dad
you
always,
learned gun safety.
Dad said,
Mhm.
I never touch them.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to look at them, tell me, I'll get it down and I'll show it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And he did. Anytime we wanted or had questions,
Mm-hmm.
he would let us look at it. He would show us how it worked. He'd
Mhm.
tell us about it. And he would, emphasize how dangerous it is. And then never play with a gun, never pick up a gun and play with it as a kid.
Right.
And
So-
you
He
knew-
even told us with toy guns not to point them at
Right,
anybody.
right, exactly. Yeah.
And we had those cap guns and everything else.
Oh yeah.
We'd burn through a box of caps in
Mm-hmm.
15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little rolls of caps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we got older, I got a 22 rifle for a birthday.
You still have it?
No, I don't.
Oh
That's-
darn.
That's long gone. But we'd go out, we'd shoot, and we'd do different things. And one day, Dad was, busy sighting in his .6 rifle, getting the new scope all lined up on it. And so I walked up the road a ways looking for something interesting to shoot at.
Right. I was just going to ask you, what would you use as a target?
Well, we set up different little things like water jugs or coffee cans.
Mhm.
And we'd shoot those. Well, Dad was busy sighting in his rifle. So I took the 22 rifle and was walking back down the road that we had drove in on, and this great big gray squirrel jumped up on this log, about 30 yards away. So I sat there and I lined up on this little dude, and he was just sitting there flipping his tail.
Mm-hmm. Like they do.
Yeah, and I nailed that puppy because all I saw was a patch of red go, and that was it. I couldn't find the carcass of that little thing. Even with a 22 rifle, I couldn't find his carcass.
Oh, talking about
Did you
squirrel
find the tail at all?
Nothing.
Nothing. Mm.
Squirrel hunts. We were out hunting deer. We had the Bronco at that time.
Oh, you mean the
And-
one that Dad bought brand new, and as he was driving home, he spit, and the window wasn't rolled down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Dad and us, we pulled up to this one log landing. We were looking it over. Hadn't seen a deer all day. Ivan and Dad decided, oh, it's time for lunch. Let's go get sandwiches. Dad's inside the Bronco digging in the ice chest, and I'm still standing out there by the edge of the.
or
landing.
Right, it's log, yeah.
And I hear something moving in the brush. Okay, I'm gonna stand here and wait a while. This little squirrel jumps up. Hello,
Mm-hmm.
I have my 30-30 in hand.
He had just gotten his hunter's safety. He was just old enough to hunt.
Yeah, I took a bead on that son of a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Dad,
Because he obviously
he's
heard it.
bent over in the
Like you
ice
said,
chest,
it-
getting the
it's just-
bologna and the mayonnaise or what, the mustard.
Uh-huh.
He heard the gunshot. His head hits the top of the Bronco.
Imagine.
Ivan screams out, "Oh!" Yeah, because startled both of them. Ivan loses his cup of coffee that he's drinking.
Probably wearing most of it.
No, just
And everybody
And
else is looking at me. Did you get him? Yeah, squirreled out of that log. Next thing I hear from Dad is, "Dad gum kid."
Ivan, in his deep baritone voice, just busting up laughing. Because he laughing at himself for one, for getting so
Losing his-
startled.
Uh-huh.
And
And
me for shooting a darn squirrel.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, at least you weren't, you were aiming, the right direction where there weren't any
oh, we
people
knew
around. Yeah.
better.
Oh yeah. Well,
But the
I
other
wanted to go down and see if there was anything left, and Dad goes, "No, there's probably nothing left." And with that,
In size of,
but
caliber of
I'll do
gun.
you one better. You were much younger. Dad had just bought a boat,
oh yeah.
and they had taken the boat out to Dexter Lake, and they're going along on the lake, and something's not quite right. So Ivan and Dad go to the back of the boat to look at the motor and see if they can figure out what's going on. They tell Tracy, aim for the other side of the lake. If any other boats come along, turn to the side to get away from it. What does Tracy do? Spots a boat 1.5 miles away, so he turns the boat and almost throws Dad and Ivan overboard. They're
At the
hanging,
back of the boat.
they're hanging on for dear life back of the boat, and they're looking at Tracy like, "What are you doing? There's a boat." And Dad looks at me and goes, "That's clear across the lake." But you said turn. If I saw it,
That's what I did.
That's
would not
right.
turn the boat around in the same square spot as you were.
Yeah.
You're not on the minnow. You don't need to spin the wheel.
And for them not to have left the boat in the process.
It was so
Well,
close.
I'm gonna go ahead and call it quits on my video because I know there's a time
Please.
limitation on the amount of video I can do
All
on
right.
Well,
YouTube.
talk to you a little later.
Okay, see you all later.
Yep.